Welcome to another trip down the Bourbon Road with your hosts, Jim and Mike. So grab a glass of your favorite bourbon and kick back.
Well, you know who likes to give back to their community is one of our sponsors, Jim. Chris Cruz from Cruz Customs Flags. He does custom flags out of bourbon barrels. Not only does he do that, but he's also using veterans to build those flags with. I've got one right behind me, Jim. I know you got one on your bar. Beautifully handcrafted, repurposing a bourbon barrel, not throwing it away, not making it into smoking chips, making a piece of Americana, right?
It's something that'll last probably quite a few years longer than a bourbon barrel would, right?
Not only that, but he's using veterans to build those pieces of art with. You know, you got to love that. But he's also giving back to his community at all times, helping veterans out like ourselves. He is really in tune to that. Go check his site out, cruzcustomsflags.com. You can buy his flags on there, key holders. Heck, Jim's got some these neat little cups that are charred inside, made out of oak, that you can put a cocktail in.
They call those the whiskey grail, don't they?
Yeah, that is. It kind of reminds you of, when you think of a grail, but truly a whiskey grail right there. Go check those out at Cruz Customs Flags. Purchase from this guy, veteran owned, veteran operated, making a veteran built product.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Shannon.
And I'm Mike Hyatt.
And this is the Bourbon Road. And today, Mike, we're at Jephthah Bend Farm.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute. It's a beautiful day, though. I mean, it's gorgeous outside. It's cold.
It's chilly. I think it was like 25 this morning.
It was very cold, but things are turning green and the sun's out. And, I cut grass for the first time.
It's mowing season.
I know it.
Gosh dang it.
It's all right. I kind of enjoy it a little bit. It gives me some thinking time.
Yeah.
But we got a great bottle today, something we've been waiting for a very long time.
Everybody has been waiting for this. It was a big deal for this to come out this year. Very anticipated bottle. Some people said it's the most anticipated release ever. I don't know about that. I kind of crunched my nose up a little bit when people say it's the most anticipated release ever. But it is out of Castle and Key. It's their first bourbon. Now, they've had other bourbons come out of there.
They have. So they're, in addition to making their own spirits, they also contract produce for other distillers as well.
Yeah. But this is their Castle and Key. It's a 40-year-old straight Kentucky bourbon, right?
Straight Kentucky bourbon. And I think you got the mash bill on this, did you?
I do. So the mash bill for this, Jim, is 73% white corn, 10% rye, and 17% malted barley.
Oh, that sounds a little bit like a high malt.
It does sound like a high malt, doesn't it?
It does.
This was 80 barrels, Jim, in this batch.
Which is not a huge batch for, a size of distillery like Castle and Key.
Yeah.
But it's a good size.
Now they're doing batches, and each batch looks like it's going to be different. They're going to have batch number 2 will be another 80 barrels, but it'll come in at 99 proof.
Okay. So they're not holding the proof consistency between batches. That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe that's hard for them to do, or who knows? They just want to do it this way. I like when people put out batches like that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, a little bit flavorful. But the same Castle and Key bottle you see everything in, they have very beautiful, right? Yeah,
it's a gorgeous bottle. It's well appointed. The label this time has like a slate blue color on it. Really nice. I like it a lot.
And the packaging they sent us this in was super nice. They sent us 2 glasses, some coasters on a little castle. If you haven't been out to Castle and Key, it does look like a castle, right?
Yeah, and I think we should talk about that just a few minutes, but I'll tell you what, I'd really like to taste this bourbon.
Well, let's taste this thing.
Let's do it. Ooh, the nose has definitely got a light fruit to it. That's that barley.
I'm getting a little raisin on this.
Yeah.
Definitely some honey, right?
Yeah, definitely honey. Maybe a little bit of tea.
Yeah, you're right on the tea.
It's got a sweetness to it, but at the same time, it's got a little bit of a kind of a tartness. Now, this is the nose. We haven't tasted it yet. This is all about the nose right now, but it's kind of a sweet tart nose.
I think it's got a little bit of nutmeg in there or something. It just tingles, like you said, sweet tart, that sweet tart candy. You're spot on, man. You're getting it today, Jim. You're definitely getting it. Yeah, I can't say enough good stuff about this. Now I get a little bit of Frosted Flakes cereal on this.
Okay.
That sugary sweet corn. And maybe that's that white corn. And maybe that's what I'm getting.
It could be. And I don't know what white corn brings to the table. You know, some people use yellow corn. Some people use white corn. Some people use
bloody butcher corn. Blue corn. There's a lot of different corns out there. Nobody's using popcorn.
There must be a reason.
There is. There's a reason why they said there's not enough yield out of it.
Okay.
So that Marcia, the mother of Texas whiskey down there at Iron Root, she is the one that told me that.
All right. Well, I'm ready to taste this.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that's got a little bit of sizzle to it. Very nice, though. Not too sweet up front, but it does have a little bit of that pop rock to it.
Yeah, I was thinking at first, it's very cool in the glass when you first hit your mouth, and I thought it was going to be super watery, but it's not. It's got a weird mouth taste to it, weird mouth feel, I guess.
Yeah, it's not super viscous, but it's got just a tad of tart bitterness to it. So, I mean, that's kind of carrying over. There's a little sweetness there. The light fruit, I'm going to say the stone fruit, a little bit of stone fruit, and but not overly sweet. This is not a really sweet bourbon for me.
I think that bitterness I'm getting, it almost tastes like a little bit of persimmon. You know, those old world fruits.
Sure.
You know, that persimmon's got a little bite to it.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of that persimmon in it. The baking spices are there.
Yeah.
It hits you like that. You said that's pop rocks are coming out. Those baking spices, that nutmeg, that all clove, very, very tasty.
Yeah, it's really good. Now, I have to be fair in saying that this is my first bourbon of the day, and we both know from tasting many, many bourbons that your first one of the day can typically have a little bit of bitterness to it. So I'm going to report back after I take a couple more sips. I think it's a really nice bourbon for them to come out this. It's sticking with my palate, so I'd say a medium finish on this, right? And it's starting to build a little hug.
Yeah, it's got some hug to it.
Now, I started to feel like it was going to drip down to my jawline and start, you know how sometimes the bourbon will get down around the jaw? It didn't quite go there. It got to the sides of the tongue. I could feel it getting ready to go. That pop rocks was going off, but it didn't drip to the jawline. It's not entirely like anything I've had before.
Yeah, maybe that high malted barley, right, is very different. We've had some other bourbons like that lately where people are putting in that more, not malted rye, malted barley. But it's got a bite on the tongue for sure. Now, our tasting notes are not even close to what they gave us. They said toffee, bread dough, dates. I don't get dates on this. Baking spices. We did get baking spices and toasted almonds. They said the finish was cinnamon allspice. Now I could get that cinnamon.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'd say cinnamon allspice is a fair finish on this, and it is medium in length. I agree with that. Yeah, our notes up front, Mike, are totally different than theirs, but you know that's the way the game goes.
Yeah. Well, this thing was $50. They released it at the distillery yesterday. There was, like I said, a line of cars there, and it looked like they had a pretty good system set up for people to get it. This is going to be available in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Jersey, New York, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, my home state of Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin. That's a plethora of states.
That's a pretty good, that's a pretty good distribution. But you know, it's getting to be that season when people are going to want to come and visit the Bourbon Trail. It's already that season.
Oh yeah,
and Castle and Key is a great place to go. I mean, what a wonderful experience to go to the distillery there. And you can take a tour or not. You can go to the gift shop or not. They have a lot to offer.
Yeah, they got a little, I guess it would be a cocktail bar outside that you could still walk around the outside grounds if you didn't want to go on a tour and then go on the gift shop and buy your stuff and still not go on a tour. But you're missing out if you don't go on that tour and seeing the sunken botanical gardens there. Now the spring house is outside, right?
The spring house and the botanical gardens, you go on a walk. There's a nice walking trail through the gardens there. Very well maintained.
Yeah. I mean, it is a beautiful place and it's just getting better. You know, they're renovating that place. It's taken some time. They started in 2014 by renovating it. You can see the old boilers there and stuff. It is quite amazing. You know, they got a good little restaurant right down the road called the Stave. You got to get in there fast because it's a small place.
Yeah, I would say definitely consider Castle and Key as a stop on your trip to the Bourbon Trail. You will not be sorry. Even if, you know, if you bring your wife along or you bring your spouse along, could be the wife is the bourbon drinker and then your family. If that's the case, when you bring your spouse along, if they're not into all the distillery tours or they're tired of distillery tours, man, you can get a cocktail outside. You can walk through the gardens. You can go down and sit by the creek.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
There's a little dam that has, I don't call it a waterfall because it's more of a man-made waterfall, right?
Yeah.
Water flowing over the dam there and stuff. But we've both been there several times. Matter of fact, we're about to go back out there. Next week's episode, we'll be out there. But on this week's episode, you're going to listen to me and Jim. We're going to talk about 2 bottles that I think everybody likes. We got a rye, we got a wheat we're going to talk about on Wednesday, right, Jim?
That's right.
But we're also going to be doing a giveaway. You don't want to miss out on that giveaway now. But we'll talk about what's going on this year in bourbon. There's been some big news that's just happened. So we'll talk about that on that episode. Well, Jim, this is pretty dang good bourbon for $50. I would buy a bottle for $50.
Yeah. I would say that this thing brings definitely a new experience to the table. Something a little bit different than anything else you've had before. It's not like any other bourbon. It doesn't remind me of anybody else's bourbon, I should say.
Yeah.
And that's always a good thing. Always nice to try something that steps out of the box a little bit. It may take a little time for the bottles to sort of make their way out there for everybody to be able to put their hands on them. But for me, I'm going to say definitely grab it when you can. Get to the distillery and get a bottle if you can. Whichever way, I think it's a good choice.
I think if people listen with our episode with Castle and Key, maybe we can squeeze a bottle out of them giveaway.
It could be.
Well, Jim, another great episode.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, where can people find us?
Well, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all those social media sites. Just check us out at the Bourbon Road. Pretty easy. We actually have a private Facebook group called the Bourbon Roadies on Facebook. You want to make sure you get in there. 3 easy rules. Are you 21? Do you like bourbon? And you agree to play nice because we don't tolerate any rudeness, right, Jim?
That's right. We just want everybody to get along. Just get along. Get along and drink that whiskey.
Yeah, there's so many people, and it pays to be a roadie. It really does pay. We just gave away a bottle to some roadies, actually 2 bottles and some swag. Check that stuff out. Sometimes, we're both a little generous and we'll send some samples out we got bourbon to give away.
We do.
Lots of it.
We got bourbon coming out our ears.
You just said my shelf was sagging over there.
It is sagging. You need to lighten that up a little bit. And we need to find some needy roadies.
Needy roadies. Yeah, check us out on there. We got 2 episodes a week, right, Jim?
Yep. Every week on Mondays, we'll do a craft distillery episode like today's, where we'll take a look at a single expression. We'll tell you whether or not we think you ought to add it to your shelf. Most of the time it's a craft distillery. Castle Key's a little big, but they're also kind of crafty too. So good fit for this week's episode.
Oh,
every Wednesday, we do a full length episode, about an hour in length. Man, last week's one an hour and a half.
Well, it was a great conversation.
It was, but we'll basically get you to work. We'll get you home on an hour show. We'll have some guests on. We'll explore several bottles. We'll talk about a specific topic. We'll go a little bit deeper than we do on Mondays. So we sure like to have you listen to both shows every week. Mike, how do they make sure they do not miss a single episode?
You want to scroll on up, hit that subscribe sign, that check sign, that plus sign. That'll get your app to tell you, hey, These guys got an episode out. Releases really early in the morning. So if you want to catch it on the way to work, like Jim said, you want to catch it on the way home or split that drive with an episode, go ahead and do that. Then we need you to scroll on down. You know what I'm about to say, right? Hit that 5-star review and leave us some comments. It's been a minute since we had any reviews, almost over a month. We really would appreciate that, but you know what will happen if you don't. I'm going to bring my friend, the big bad booty daddy of bourbon. He'll be carrying a bottle of this Castle and Key bourbon with him. You guys can drink it all night long. You'll have a smile on your face at the end of the night. Give us that 5-star review and leave some comments. But seriously, those comments, those reviews open up doors to distilleries for us to go in. It gets great bottles of bourbon in our hand, like this Castle and Key right here, for us to do a show for you. And hopefully you enjoy this entertainment.
Well, Mike and I are very approachable. We'd love to hear from you if you've got any ideas for a show, if you've got a guest you'd like to see on, if you got a bottle you'd like us to review, either one of those, please let us know. You can send us an email. You can go onto the website. You can head up the Contact Us page. I'm Jim at thebourbonroad.com. He's Mike at thebourbonroad.com. But like we always say, probably the best way is to hit up our DM on Instagram. I'm Jay Shannon63.
I'm Big Bourbon Chief.
And we'll see you down
the Bourbon Road.